No way, we actually have cyber dragons topping this event? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Kong just ran another Genesys event, and I've honestly been enjoying seeing a little bit of the diversity that has been kind of coming around this format, though some problems I think have been kind of developing right now with the latest kind of takeaways from this event, because Draco Tail has been definitely figured out as one of the better decks, at least when you're looking at these events underneath a microscope. You're definitely able to see, Draco Tail definitely is looking very strong. We also had Radiant Typhoon. Now, Radiant Typhoon has definitely been presenting itself in probably the most interesting of lights recently, just because, when you look at that engine and the way that it is just able to generate so much free advantage, I can understand a little bit how it can be frustrating to see. Now, we also did have an Art Mage deck. I feel like Art Mage continues to be one of the go-to sectors for this, especially, when the deck just feels very consistent for what it's able to do in its combo lines. We also do have, yet again, Lunalights. We have one expert that knows how to play this deck within this format. And you're going to consistently see that, hey, this duelist is going to be repeating this success, which is quite nice to see. We also did have Sharks. I didn't expect to see this, but, this is one of the few formats where you're kind of free to play that deck and you can actually enjoy it to its fullest. And then the thing that really caught my attention was we actually have a Cyber Dragon deck. Who needs all of this extra fun, bells and whistles when you're able to play that deck and pretty much successfully have a great run with it? So this top cut, I think, is some of the best that I've had the opportunity to see. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. So starting things off here, we of course have Draco Tail actually building in a cap shell into this, but this is mainly because it's just going to be getting you back a resource, which is actually kind of free. Never really appreciate turning this into a draw one and the ability to pick up another piece that you might potentially need along the way. As you can still tell, the rest of the Draco Tail stuff very heavily costed, but also only access to one Ketu is okay. Also, you do get to play Alistair the Invoker in here to make access to the Macabre, which is kind of crazy, but you've also got a lot of other little bits and pieces. We also do see the Shaddoll package being accessible in the side deck, but truthfully, I think that this deck does kind of turn a little bit into a monster, as it does kind of generate a lot of this advantage, really just kind of throwing players off. Like, they're not really too sure how to handle Draco Tail within the current format. Ooh, we have Lunalights sporting off a copy of the DD Crow. Woo! So, without Pendulums, this deck kind of has to find some innovative ways to kind of play around some of the problems. I think one of the funniest ways that this duelist has figured out how to overcome this is just slap some thrust within the deck. If you have access to thrust, you can get into some of the most powerful cards you're going to need. Also, we are dedicating some slots into droplets, which once again, I think is fine. Your job is to use as many strong board breaker-esque cards as you can to be able to bring the game back to your helm. And you also, we do have heavy polymerization in here, just to kind of give us a way to be able to go second. Slap this down on the table, get to make the big Lunalight monster for effectively free, and that just speeds up so much of the process to closing out the game that it's actually pretty free. Next up here, we have another Draco Tail variant for you. Now, this one's going with a little bit more of the Shaddoll side of things, which, is fine. You're just going to be playing Construct, and we are playing Wendigo. Holy crap. I keep forgetting that Wendigo is actually a card that you can access. You do have a wind monster here, so you can just mill down Pan, and effectively you're good to go. You do also, once again, see there's that cap shell that you're basically able to be able to turbo up and do their thing. Also, once again, side decking those Shaddoll fusions. We also have the Ariel in here. if we do need to access it. But this Draco Tail extra deck feels a little bit wilder, but also we do get to play the Tyrant Dragon because we are playing the Fusion sub. I feel like this is a pretty broken card because getting to recur back one of these can actually just break the game, especially getting access to a Horn a second time around. Okay, next up is our Shark Duelist. Now, Sharks have full access to everything that they're going to want here because dear old 7 Tachyon just says, hey, I understand that, this card probably should be pointed, but that's okay. We can continue to explore brokenness. I do see that this build is playing the Book of Lunar Eclipse. Now, this does unfortunately cost some sort of discardability for it, which makes it, an unpointed card. But that's fine because it automatically takes care of 2 problems. Unfortunately, if your opponent only has 1 monster, though, you are going to have to probably target one of your own in order to even get this off of the ground to play. You do see we are playing one of the main 2 in the side. We also have access to 2 Aue down here as well. Very, very nice getting to see the water art doing its job, but I quite like this a lot. Next up here, we have the Radiant Typhoon good stuff, of course, sporting off Runic. Now, it's interesting to me that they got away with playing only 2 copies of Fountain in this list because I feel like Fountain in its current incarnation is something you absolutely have to maximize. You don't have a way to search for this. It's very unfortunate, but you have to facilitate getting this online. If not, you're going to have problems. I guess, the Radiant Typhoon stuff can probably get you further into the deck and so forth, but it's also interesting, they chose to play Drolls to kind of slow down the game. Also, they are playing Leviathan, definitely showing that, having access to bigger boss monsters that you can kind of slap on the table is pretty good. Also, shout out to, Nibiru actually being a pointed card that they chose to play in their side deck. You will see in a lot of these builds that you do have to factor in for your side deck quite a lot. I mean, if you can hit an Exceed deck with this, it feels pretty good. Next up here, we have our Cyber Dragon Challenger. Now, we're only main decking 2 Cyber Dragons, which is fine. You are going to be using the Cyber Dark good stuff kind of as the base to get set up. And you are going to notice, yes, we do have Infinity as one of our point cards, which makes sense, right? I mean, you want to be able to access this card. This card ends up being really strong. But also looks like we're going to be a blind going second deck. You have the Ultimate Slayers. You have the Droplets on standby to be able to bring out and clear up, those problematic cards. I think that's actually kind of important. You also do get to see, there's that Draco Tail Flame again that I've been kind of seeing popping around every once in a while within these lists. Guys, if you know, you know. This card is definitely one of the best modern era cards to be side decking within Genesys format, just because it is absurdly consistent. And then we have more Radiant Typhoon. This build chose to go with 2 Mirage Nightmare. I also see that they actually chose to play a Maxi. Holy crap. That's very interesting. I guess if your opponent is not expecting a Maxi, or you just don't want to dedicate extra points into Pot of Greed or something, I guess Maxi is good enough to be able to kind of net you some extra little free advantage. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily like this. Also do see, yes, we do have the Mirage and Nightmare in here. We got the triple sphere mode doing their job as well. This, also you have the Ultimate Slayers down here, kind of clean things up. And once again, there's the Dragon Lark, Pyren, and of course the Exceed Armor package. Yeah, the things that this deck can kind of do, kind of gets kind of disgusting. But it does look like Fountain to 2, I think, was a pretty consistent thing for this tournament. So maybe we'll see more of that here in the future. Next up here, we have Art Mage. Now this build chose to play Fuas in the main deck, and of course we do have a Blazing Cartesian here as well. Getting access into Grand Guignol is kind of free value. Also do see that the Nerva is actually kind of decently pointed for this, which is actually not too bad. You also do get to see Super Poly still being that wrecking ball machine to kind of clean up those fields, also main decking the Cosmic Cyclones and so forth. But honestly, this looks pretty decent for a list. It was definitely an interesting event to see cyber dragons, you know, getting a chance to kind of cry around out here and do their job. But please, comment down below what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.